Hello. So I've been pretty busy over the last I guess the last week or so, and I thought I would talk here about these kind of these cases, or just some examples I have of these cases of these what do you call them? Fat. I think saw them referred to as fat doubles or fat cases or fat boys. It's where they have a double album or double CD that is basically just two single cases stuck together with this kind of thing in the middle. So it's actually a bit thicker. So if you just take two single cases versus the fat one, it is slightly fatter, isn't it? Just a little bit fatter. But these were the norm for double discs, double albums, double CDs in certainly in the 80s through the first half of the 90s, and then they started to phase out and bring in the other kind of double which we have nowadays, which I'm trying to quickly look at as I'm speaking. Um, I showed one in my last video. It's where it looks like from the outside, it looks like a single disc, but when you open it, it has that kind of the internal plate dual case whole CD holder hub thing swings out on an internal hinge and allows a disc to be put in the front and the back. I spent about trying to look for one I can't find one just from my sitting position, so it's not. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so what do I have in the way of these fat double discs? I've got Goldie's album Timeless. Now these are all secondhand. These ones I'm going to show here. This one I got about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and this is from 1995, which is about the time when you were seeing these disappear in stores. And so, Timeless, I actually don't know anything about. I've listened to this album a lot and I like it, but I don't know any of the background of this album, and I don't actually know much about Goldie. Um, I do know he was in a relationship with Bjork for a while, and he makes drum and bass music with certain kind of side side roads into other electronic genres, kind of sometimes more ambient stuff. Um, I guess some house influence and things, but I really like Timeless. I particularly like, I think is it no? I think it's got a vocal in it I don't like. The first part. Actually, no. I was going to say it's one of the long songs, but a lot of them are long. 21 minutes, 7, 7, 12, 6, 7, 10. But this is a good album. But yeah, I've never really done any in-depth reading about Goldie. He's British. That's another thing I know. Usually when I listen to an album and I enjoy it, I'll go and research about it and look at kind of some of their artists' previous or later work. But I've never actually done that with Goldie, so I can't say much about it. But yes, it is the typical Fat Boy double disc, and in the middle, that's where they usually put the booklet. They put it kind of in this tray here, and there you have it. The booklet's in very good condition for a 1995 album. Looks quite 1995, doesn't it, with the artwork? Um, Now, the issue with these is that these often can break quite easily, I found. This internal, what do you want to call this thing? The thing that kind of separates the two discs sometimes can be a bit flimsy. Next one I'll show is George Michael Best of. Ladies and gentlemen, the best of George Michael. Now, this one, you see, is broken. The little arm with the hinge is broken, so that's one thing already that's broken. And this one has got two booklets. They really went ham on this for the heart and for the feet. So the best of was broken up into these two sides of. I think there's another. I've got another best of his, but it's a triple disc, 25, and it does a similar thing. It divides his music into for this and for that. It's actually, let's have a look. There it is, this one. What do we got? For living, for loving, and for the loyal. And so they try to fit all of George Michael's music into these three themes. And some of them you think, well, how exactly is that for the loyal? I don't understand your thinking on that one. But yes, maybe it was his idea. I don't know. So yeah, that one's broken. Got that about 3 years ago as well. Um, the reason why this one afterwards, geez, this was $1. What did I bargain for? A triple album. That is very good condition as well. Is because the disc one on this, is it disc one? Yes, disc one on this is actually quite badly damaged. And I remember the first time I did it playing it, it was skipping all over the place, almost made it unlistenable. Now just looking at it, you can't actually see, well, you can see scratches. I don't know if they're sharp on the camera, but I can see some scratches. But it's not seriously scratched. And that's the thing with CDs, is that it's often hard to predict what is going to render something unplayable and what isn't. Sometimes something will be skipping all over the show, and you look at it, get it out, expecting it to have scratches all over the place, but it's barely scratched, and you think, what is one of these scratches like particularly bad, and I'm not noticing it? And then other times you'll get a disc that's completely scratched, and it plays through fine, no problem. So yeah, I don't understand the science behind that. Neil Diamond, not the biggest Neil Diamond fan, never have been. There's an odd song of his I like, but there's a lot of songs of his I don't like, and his music kind of produces a certain feeling that whenever I hear it, it was Neil Diamond was played on the radio a lot growing up, 1980s in New Zealand, and some of the music from my childhood really stands out in a positive way, like Billy Joel, and some of it really stands out, not really stands out, kind of has a more negative tone to it in my memory. And Neil Diamond would be one of those, and I don't actually know why. So we've got two discs. This one is intact, no problem. The thick, very thick booklet. That's another thing, is that because you're not having to slip it in underneath the little moon tabs on a typical CD, you can produce a much thicker booklet in these double fat discs, because it just sits in this internal tray. This is just the lyrics by the looks of things. There he is. And I think I just was doing a quiz. There's a local news website that I read. When I check the news, there's two or three news apps that I have on my devices that I check the news. And one of them has a daily, or actually has what do you call it? Twice daily quiz, a morning and afternoon quiz. And I do it every day. And I always aim to try to get at least 10 out of 15. If I get less than 10 out of 15, I feel it's a bad day. But one of the questions recently is Neil Diamond's birth name Neil Diamond? Because, so many musical artists, like George Michael, their birth name is not the same as their, performance or stage name. And I thought, well, Neil Diamond, that sounds like a real example of a stage name, if I've ever heard one. Diamond. But it is his real name. I'm just going to double check that because I don't want to talk out my hole. But yes, Neil Leslie Diamond, born in 1941. So he's a bit older than my dad. He's in a similar generation as my dad. 82. So guy's getting on now, eh? Old Neil Leslie Diamond. Is Diamond, yeah, I was going to say, is a Jewish name because Michael Diamond, Mike Gee from the Beastie Boys, Michael Diamond, he's Jewish as well. And it says Diamond was born in Brooklyn to a Jewish family. All four of his grandparents were immigrants from Poland on his father's side and Russia on his mother's. Maybe it's the the English Americanized, anglicized Diamond of whatever the original Slavic version was. Diamonsky, Diamondstein. It's amazing how many entertainers have particularly Russian and Russian, Lithuanian, and Ukrainian Jewish um, heritage. Like I know a lot of them left that area of the world, about 150 years ago or so, and a lot of that area had quite a large numbers of Jewish people, but so many entertainers, singers, and actors. The other one I was looking at recently was Star Trek, the original series, that both William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, Kirk and Spock, both families had Ukrainian Jews. And I think I don't know, it stood out to me because I was like the villages that their ancestors, maybe their grandparents or parents had immigrated from were actually close by. I think Shatner had both Ukrainian and Lithuanian, but Nimoy was just Ukrainian. But he was just quite interesting to see how these two guys who starred in a television program together and are kind of associated with each other had family from this like quite a small original area. But anyway, so that's the other one, Neil Diamond. We start Rod Stewart. We're seeing a bit of a theme here, aren't we? George Michael, Neil Diamond, Rod Stewart. Again, I'd put Rod Stewart in a very similar category as Neil Diamond for me. I've never been the biggest Rod Stewart fan. I'd say a lot of his music I actually dislike, but there is the odd song of his that I do like, some of his earlier stuff. Now, this one has got both the slip case over it, which we talked about in the previous videos, utterly pointless slip cases, cardboard slip cases, and then he's got this. Now, what year did this come out? Because this might be a little bit later. I can't see what year this was released. This is 89. Okay. For some reason. Oh, yeah. Complete anthology 64 to 90. So there's nothing past 1990. Not that he had many hits past 1990 anyway. Oh, what's this? I say this is a 3-discer. There we go. So that's something that this in a tray can be utilized for sometimes. You've got over here, and then you've got 2 here. So you can have a little hub here, and it serves itself that way. So again, I got this for $1. Got this more recently, probably in the last 12 months I got this one. But no, actually it was a little more than 12 months. Because I think we were living in our other house in our previous rental. But look, this is a real fat booklet. Jeez. It's like a bloody novel. This guy was the height of sex appeal in the 1970s, wasn't he? From what you hear and read. I don't see it, but I guess I'm not the target audience necessarily, but that's a famous picture. I think that was on the front of one of his other best of albums or something. Look, Robert Palmer did the introduction. That's Robert Palmer, Simply Irresistible, and what's the other song he did? What's the other big one he had? Addicted to Love. Now, he passed away of heart trouble, relatively young, Robert Palmer. He was just 54 in 2003. So he, not that I have any Robert Palmer albums, but he had a heart attack. Doesn't say much more about that. You hear a lot nowadays about people not wanting to get into this whole issue. For God, I'll draw out there all the crazies, but about the vaccination and heart trouble. But there's always been people dying relatively young of heart trouble. We'll leave that there. Right? And the last one, actually, I've got some others. These are just the ones I pulled out. I've got another Billy Joel one as well, but I didn't want to show all of them. But anyway, this is a Henry Mancini one. And this also is a 3 CD set. So we got the 1, 2, and the 3 at the back, or behind there. And this has got the hub. So this could actually take 4 if need be. But this is a very sparse booklet compared to the other ones I just showed. Henry Mancini, there's not much to say about him. He's composed a lot of memorable music that's just kind of intertwined in culture in so many ways, like things like the Pink Panther theme, or Moon River, or Midnight Cowboy. These are songs that you just hear. Raindrops keep falling in my head. But hang on, he didn't compose all those? Did he do Raindrops Keep Falling in My Head? I'm almost certain that that was a Burt Bacharach, Hal David tune. But a lot of these other ones he did compose for a lot of movies. Charade, if you know Fantomas, the Mike Patton side project, he does a great version of Charade. When we played Charade. Again, the Godfather theme, that was Nina Rota, I'm pretty sure. By the time I get to Phoenix, is Glenn Campbell. Okay, so I'm not sure. Some of these are just his performances, not all just his written stuff. But anyway, so yeah, just a kind of a little look at something different there. Some from a bygone era. These fat discs. I haven't made a video for about a week. I really want to make them more regularly than this, but I've been busy. My kid's had a virus, and it's been pretty stressful. And I don't know. I don't do well when my kid's sick. When I say I don't do well, I mean I just get very stressed and I worry about him a lot, and it kind of takes up all your mental and physical energy, and also my work shift patterns just change from lates to early, so throw that into the mix and just absolutely exhausted in every way possible. But doing these videos, it kind of gives me a little respite. Like just there, the last 16 minutes, I've actually kind of just not not been thinking about anything else. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching.